by Tom Grundy, who's the editor-in-chief of the Hong Kong Free Press. Great to have you with us, Tom. Could you just give us a sense of how significant this is for the credibility of these protests?
Well, civil servants are meant to be politically neutral, and it's very unusual that they would come out like this. But we saw one of the central areas of Hong Kong filled with people and their supporters this evening. Organisers said 40,000 attended, and this was despite government warnings that government employees must be loyal. And we are just days away from possible general strike action, which many civil servants have vowed to partake in as well, let alone a couple of days worth of protests as we're going into yet another weekend, I think the 9th, of protests on Saturday and Sunday.
One of the developments we saw was a video by the People's Liberation Army showing what appeared to be anti-riot training. Now, of course, those soldiers, Chinese soldiers, have not been on the streets. But from Beijing's point of view, how much further will they allow this to get before there could be a dramatic escalation?
Well, I think for as long as the police remain united and the relationship between the government and the police remains strong, I think it's unlikely we're going to see Chinese troops on the streets just yet. There are a lot of other kind of equipment like water cannon that the police may want to be bringing out first to control these protests. But certainly for a lot of Hong Kongers, this idea of the military getting involved would really spell the end of one country, two systems, the agreements the city has for its autonomy. People here remember the 1989 Tiananmen massacre. It's a scar on the city's psyche, and it's hard not to remember those scenes from 1989 without mentioning when the People's Liberation Army is mentioned. But they do have thousands of troops in garrisons in the city, but for now at least, it's being left for the government of Hong Kong to try and resolve this weeks-long political problem.
Well, and Tom, on that point, so the original demand was for the end of this extradition bill, but the demand's now much broader.
Yes, they have expanded into demands for an investigation into police behavior, a lot of anger towards the police and their use of tear gas, rubber bullets, sponge grenades, and that seems to be escalating over recent weeks. As we speak now, there are protesters besieging one of the police stations after 44 people were arrested for rioting, which they can face 10 years for. And there's going to be a couple more protests as we go into the weekend. But the government is not really budging on this. In fact, they're pretty absent. You tend to have these patterns whereby we have protests over the weekend that often escalate into clashes. You'll have condemnation from the police and the government. And then they tend to disappear for days on end. There are no statements or reactions or efforts to reach out. And we just go back into that cycle again the following weekend. But when it comes to Chief Executive Carrie Lam stepping down, this extradition law being scrapped completely, or truly independent investigations into police behavior, there doesn't seem to be many concessions on the table.
Tom Grundy there from the Hong Kong Free Press. Really great to get your thoughts. Thank you very much.